Hello, welcome to Cooking on the Island. I'm your host RC, where today I will be preparing a great vegan dish. And so we'll cook stuffed peppers, we'll have a warm salad, and making sure that we give you some great healthy options. Well, a little bit earlier I said that we were going to have stuffed peppers as well as a warm salad. And so I'm going to start with the prepping just to make sure that we have everything that we need. And so I do have my colored peppers over here, which is what I'm going to be preparing. A little bit of jalapenos and some fresh vegetables and everything. One of the main things to do is making sure that you are cleaning your fruit or vegetables. So what I'm going to do is put on these gloves because I use apple cider vinegar, and so that'll just strip off any of the wax that's on here or any of the chemicals or pesticides. Colorful foods are great, so don't shy away from that and think that that's unnatural, because a lot of times the natural or color is the natural state of a food. And so I know everybody knows this, like carrots weren't originally orange, they were purple, and so then they've changed them and all this other stuff. So colored foods are great. So again, vegan food can be really flavorful, and it can have some really great health benefits. And so that's what it's about. You know, it's about being healthy and being the best you. And so that's what we encourage, that's what I encourage. You know, we all want to be here as long as we can. So one thing that I'm doing too is you can cut, I guess, things the size that works for you. Like I prefer to have like smaller pieces, so I might cut a little bit finer, or I won't really do a rough chop, which is just, you know, kind of cutting in big pieces and stuff like that. I just prefer things to be a little bit smaller. Just makes it, for me, a lot easier to enjoy and eat. So again, it's all about preference. All right, so what I've done is I prepared some black beans, which are going to go into the stuffed peppers. And so they've come out really good, and man, I mean, they taste phenomenal. And I put a lot of great herbs and seasonings in here. And if you only knew, if you could be here just to taste this, you probably wouldn't want to go home. So let me go ahead and just put some in a bowl, and I can start preparing everything to go into the oven. All right, so what I'm doing is straining some of the juice off the beans, because I am going to put these in the bell peppers, and I just don't want a lot of juice in the bottom of it, because it might leak out or anything like that. So again, the beans are very flavorful, and so I'll just make sure a lot of juice doesn't go in them. All right, so what I'm going to do is I mixed up everything now, and so I did layers on that first one, but I just wanted to show you that you can do things your own way. So again, it's about being versatile, and again, your preference. And so what I did was I mixed all this up. I did squeeze my fresh lime on top of that, and then now I added a little agave. And so some people like things a little spicy and then a little sweet at the same time. And so, you know, you want to make sure that you don't add too much, because again, if it's too sweet, you can't take it out. So you add a little bit, then taste it until it's perfect for you. And once it's perfect for you, then that's when you can finish adding it. So I'm just rolling out this lemon. Once you do this and press on it, it brings all the juice up. So maybe you just don't have to squeeze as hard. So I'm preparing this lemon because I am going to put a lot of this stuff inside the stuffed peppers. And so I'll finish it off with a little bit of acid, just to cut down maybe on some of the spices and everything like that. So what it'll do is just calm it down and tame it a little bit. And then I'll just cut this in half, and then I'll put this to the side and wait a minute for that. So what I'm going to put in these, man, these peppers do look great, you have to admit. And so what I'm going to put in these are the black beans. So I'll just stir those up a little bit, and I'll just put some in the bottom. As you see, I'm just kind of filling it up a little bit and leaving a little bit of room. And so I'm just going to put a little bit of red onion on the top, maybe just a little bit of cilantro in there. And I'll throw a little bit of tomatoes in there. And then maybe just a little bit of jalapeno. I like it spicy, so I leave the seeds in. And for those that aren't really into spicy foods, make sure you remove the seeds just so it doesn't burn your mouth or put it on fire, and then you don't really enjoy the food. And so that's what we want you to do, is enjoy the food. So remove the seeds if it's not your thing. All right, and so I put this up here, and then I'll probably add a little bit more beans just on top, just to maybe get it to the edge a little bit. And then what I'll do is I'll do that for all of these, and then I'm going to make some fresh guacamole to put on top, and then I'm going to pop it in the oven. All right, so what I'm about to do now is make some fresh guacamole. And so I really don't use, like some people get fancy and they'll cut all these cross cuts. I just use the spoon and scoop it out. And so, you know, everything again is about preference and what you might prefer. And so if you want to get fancy, you can do all the cross cuts on them to get it out. But at the same time, you could just use a spoon. So now what I'm doing is adding the mixture to the guacamole that I've mashed up. And so that's just tomatoes, onions, jalapenos, some lime juice, some fresh cilantro. And then I put a little bit of pink Himalayan sea salt in it as well. And so that should come out pretty well. And again, the jalapenos, if you don't like spicy food, make sure you remove the seeds out of that so it won't be such of a big kick to you. All right, so now it's time for the next part of the meal, which is the warm salad. And so the warm salad is real easy, and trust me, you are able to do this. And so we're gonna have some fresh broccoli, some fresh kale. We're gonna do some walnuts and everything. And what I'm gonna do with these walnuts is I'm gonna add maybe a little pink Himalaya sea salt to them. And I'll probably do some hot curry. And so everything really is about preference. And so instead of hot curry, if you wanted some other type of seasoning that you really enjoy or you think would go really well with the walnuts, you can do that as well. And again, it is very, very simple. It's not a lot of moving parts to this, and you are able to do this on your own. So I'm gonna start with cutting up the broccoli. And so that'll be the first thing I do, is just getting them into the little, I think they're called florets. And so the next thing I'm going to cut up is kale. And you just want to make sure that you're taking out this main stem. And you can do that either with your hands or you can use the knife. And so again, just removing the main stem, that's a little tough. You can still eat it and it doesn't do anything. It just adds, I guess, a little bit more vitamins to you, I suppose. But again, if it's too much or if it's too tough for you, you can just simply rip those out. And then what I'll do is a rough cut, which is meaning I don't want it really fine or really thin. I still want it kind of big chunks and pieces. And so I'll do that. And so I'll just kind of ball it up like this in a nice ball, and then just take my knife and then just go down, cutting it. And that just makes it a little bit easier. You're getting every single piece when you ball it up and then just going through. And so I'll probably cut one more angle, one more side, just in case there's some really long pieces or something like that. And that's it. Now we're gonna prepare to put it in the pan. But I think what I'll do first really is start seasoning these walnuts. And so I talked about putting some of the Indian hot curry in there. So I'll just sprinkle some of that in there. And again, everything is really about taste. Do you like spice or you don't like spice, kind of thing. And so I'll just make sure I got enough in there for all these walnuts, because it is a lot. And then what I'm going to do is put some agave in it, so it's spicy and sweet. And so I'll sprinkle some in here just to make sure there's enough that's coated. And then what I'll do is just mix that around And then you can see like what's not coated or if you need some more or something like that. And so I don't have them all covered, so I'll add a little bit more. And again, everything's about put a little bit in at a time because you can't remove what you've put in. So I think it's time for these to come out, and they smell incredible right now. And so actually what I'm going to do is, so you look at them, and if you see that they're kind of dry or, you know, that type of thing, you can add some of the juice actually from the beans back in there just to rehydrate them, but they look fantastic right now. All right. And so what I'm gonna do now, after we put them down, they should be a little bit cool right now. I'm going to add some of this fresh guacamole on top to finish these off, and they will be ready. So that looks great right there. And the colors are just fantastic right now. If you could just see this, I don't think you would even let me finish putting this guacamole on here. You'd be tearing this up right now. Man. Did I mention how great they smell? Because they are just incredible right now. All right, so now it is that next step where we are getting ready to make this warm salad. And so some of the things that I'm going to be using is this fresh broccoli, which I've cut, the kale, which is what we talked about, some red onions, which I cut up and left kind of big because they're just gonna go on top and be mixed in. And what I'll use to cook this warm salad would be grapeseed oil. And so what will be the seasonings that I will use will be pink Himalaya sea salt. And you don't really need a lot, and again, you want to make sure that you're not over seasoning. And then some people use pepper, and it just depends if you like black pepper or not, but I'm going to use some cayenne red pepper. Again, I guess you can tell I really like spicy food, so I'm using some cayenne red pepper to go in there. And again, that is all the ingredients, with the exception, of course, me doing the walnuts, which will go under the broiler to get a little bit of a char on them. And so what I'm going to do now is turn the stove on and put some oil in for the wok. You know, and so you don't need a lot, just a little bit. And what that'll do is just again be enough for the broccoli to not stick or anything like that, and enough for it to still char. All right, so I have my pan nice and hot right now. You can see the oil really sliding around. And again, you just want to make sure you don't get it over hot so the oil starts burning or anything like that. And then you just add your broccoli. And you can hear it's starting to sear. And so you just want to move it around a little bit and just kind of keep it on the heat and just make sure you're watching it so it does not burn. And then what I'm going to do is maybe just hit it with a little bit of the pink Himalayan sea salt and a little bit of the cayenne. And then remember, we don't want to over season, so you just want to throw a little bit in there, you know, and then because you're going to season on the next level as well. And so the next level being is once we add the kale, then you'll just add a little bit more because you want to make sure the kale gets coated as well. All right, so as you see, like some of the broccoli is charred, which is really what we're looking for because it's going to bring out the flavor. And if you smell this right now, you'd be like, man, this doesn't smell like normal broccoli. It has that nice smoky flavor to it or smell to it. And that char is what's really bringing that out. And so what I'm going to do right now is add the kale. And again, we're not going to overcook this kale. We're just going to add it in and maybe season it up a little bit. Let it wilt just a little bit. And again, we're not over seasoning because you cannot take out once you put it in. So once it's salty, that is it. There's nothing you can do. And so we'll just move this around a little bit and get that going. And then what I'm going to do now is get these walnuts, put them in this little baking pan. And then I'm going to throw these underneath the broiler and get a little char on those. So we can just keep this moving along. And again, this is a real easy recipe. Quick after work, or I guess in the morning before work if you get up early enough. here you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the end result. We have the stuffed bell peppers, which look great. I took the tops off, and you can see them on the side, just so you can see how everything turned out. And then you have the warm salad right here, which turned out great. There's a great char on the broccoli and everything. And again, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I want to thank my sponsor, Me and We, for this great apron. So go to meandwe.com to purchase your apron from there. Again, thank you for tuning in, and I can't wait to see you guys next time.